At home, plenty of credit to go around. Last night, a prodigious blast from a sophomore sensation. 7 strong innings from Jordan Zimmermann, several big hits from the middle of the infield, and 2 scoreless innings from the bullpen. Tonight, a chance to sweep the Sox and tuck another in the win column.
Washington Nationals baseball. Washington Nationals baseball.
Weather has cooled off a bit, but the Nats haven't. At home, they are still perfect. And now we're starting them young in D.C. with Nationals baseball. Middle of the order, middle infielders doing well last night. Leadoff guy getting on base. The offense hitting on all cylinders. We'll see if Dan Herron can match what they're doing tonight. Bob and FP. Danny Espinosa, Ian Desmond. They turn double plays as well as anybody in baseball. Unbelievable range, hands, strong arms, and now the bats have really come alive.
Yeah, they're both locking it in, and when you talk about a team that has 6 and 7 guys in the order like these guys, we all know about their defense. Last night, turn a nifty double play right there. You see the strength in the arms of both of those guys. So smooth on defense. The game's starting to slow down for those guys, but Ian Desmond has 7 of 8 hits in his current 5-game hitting streak or for extra bases. 4 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, and Danny Espinosa heating up too. 6 for his last 19 in his last 5 games. So not only doing it on defense, they're locking it in on offense too. And anytime you get production from the bottom of the order, really, like you're getting from those 2 guys, it's obviously a good thing.
In this series, they're a combined 8 for 16 with 3 runs batted in. So there's Mr. Harper at the top of the lineup as well. And Ryan Zimmerman, when he gets hot, Adam Morose, some signs of life. Look out.
Yeah, I mean, they're all swinging good right now. And how about Bryce's home run? You know what he told me before the game? He said he didn't get that on the barrel last night. Are you kidding me? 420.
Well, Bryce Harper in batting average in the National League 4th. Home runs 3rd. Slugging 3rd. How about the numbers 20 over 394? That's the age over the batting average. Young number 3 hitter is showing us how it's done right now. Ocean City. Visit Ocean City, Maryland for SpringFest, May 2nd through 5th. Find out more at OCOcean.com. And by Navy Federal Credit Union, 4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union. Cherry blossoms are out in full bloom. Looks like some of them are being blown around by the breeze. This place was sweltering last night. It's 78 tonight. We've got a breeze coming in right over the scoreboard in right field. Train celebrating its 100th anniversary. Irresistible financing. It's hard to stop a train really hard. Well, the ballpark might play a little bigger tonight with the wind coming in. Alejandro De Aza against Dan Haren, who's 2-1 career against the White Sox in 6 career starts. Longtime American leaguer, and his first pitch in this park right in there. Underway right on time at 7:05.
Last time out at Cincy, lasted just 4 innings, gave up 6 runs on 9 hits, struck out 5, walked nobody, was touched for 4 home runs. As something has blown onto the field in center field, Bernard Span's grabbing it. It's a rally napkin early, I love it. It's a good sign. So fastball, cutter, curveball split for Dan Haren tonight. I feel like in better conditions. It's a lot warmer here tonight. That split should be much better.
Alejandro De Aza in this series. A walk, 4 for 8. He has scored 3 runs. Haren's fastball, 91, just tailing away. So when they came to town, their leadoff man was 4 for 24. He's had himself a fine couple of games. That one lashed foul. Umpires showed up at 5:38 this evening. Only reason I know, I was coming up off the field. And Tom Hallion, the crew chief, and his guys coming right down the ramp. He's a 20-year veteran. Ron Culpa, Phil Cuzzi, and Chris Guccione.
That's because they're working on a tardy. 2 tardies as a detention, so they got here early today.
I noticed they all were carrying apples. 1 ball and 2 strikes. De Aza, Keppinger, Alex Rios. We'll set the whole lineup for you in a moment. Get you going on the Nats defense. That is so close to the inside corner, just missing.
Yeah, that's a call that Dan Haren wants and needs tonight. Front door sinker. Looked pretty good. Good frame on the backside from Wilson Ramos. Didn't get the call. If he stays there, he'll get that call.
There he goes. 2 in a row. Got the second call. So you'll see Keppinger next, and then Alex Rios, who has 5 hits and 3 RBIs in this series. He's been their big man. Hit a home run here the other night. And right now, in the American League, he's 4th in hitting, 3rd in homers, top 8 in RBIs. Off to quite a start. In fact, our GM, Mike Rizzo, marveling at this guy on deck and his stroke during batting practice today. Good-looking player, Alex Rios, right behind Jeff Keppinger. So Rios 5 out of 9. Keppinger 3 out of 9 with 3 runs scored. In the air. Fly balls like this will be held up tonight. Bryce Harper, the early call, takes it in the gap. 2 outs.
It's the time you've been waiting for. It's your AFCEA Intelligence Report. AFCEA, the Association for Global Security Professionals. Lost Sox. He's 2-0. His last 3 starts against the White Sox with a 2.45 ERA. Hasn't lost in 3 starts. No walks on the wild side among active players. Nice job, guys. Owns the 2nd lowest walks per 9 innings at 1.89, and I think this split will be better tonight in warmer conditions. A lot more moisture in the air than there was in Cincinnati. Better grip on the baseball.
Alex Rios, 6 for 20 career against Haren with a home run. Dan looking sharp. Career record 119 and 98. This is his 288th career start. Just kind of hangs on that right leg. No swing, says Ron Culpa.
Swing or no swing, we didn't see that split in Cincinnati. That was a great pitch from Dan Haren. Good sign. Fastball command is good here in the first. Did he go? No, it looked like he held up, but the action on the split was what we were looking for in his first start. That one was nasty.
Limited schedule, only 3 games in the National League this afternoon. Giants and the Cubs matched up in a day game. And the Giants won that one at Wrigley 7-6. Later tonight, Dodgers at Padres. Everything else in the American League tonight.
Set the defense for the Nats real quick behind Dan Herron tonight. Stamp it. Harper, Span, Worth in the outfield. Desmond Zimmerman left side. Espinosa, LaRoche right side. And every other day catcher, Wilson Ramos in there tonight.
If it's Thursday, it must be Wilson. Inside, 3-2.
Dan Herron's taking a couple of steps back toward the Nats dugout here with 2 outs and hasn't gotten the call. Didn't get on the check swing. Didn't get on the heater right there. They were both close.
That ball hit to left. Harper going back. It stays in play. Obviously, the park playing a little bigger tonight as Rios jacks one to the wall, and he is 6 for 10 in these 3 games.
Where you give a hot hitter a couple extra chances. Some borderline calls didn't go Herron's way right there, and Rios all over this 3-2 offering. You see the fastball up in the zone. Herron probably wanted it a little bit lower, but you make a mistake to a hot hitter, you're going to pay. Rios has been hot this whole series, and if I'm Dan Herron on the mound right now, I'm thinking, well, that was a home run in Cincinnati, and it's a double here. He's liking his new ballpark all of a sudden.
Here's Adam Dunn. Adam Dunn, 2 for 15 against Herron. He was 0 for 4 with an RBI ground ball last night. Adam starts his season 5 out of 28. 2 of those 5 hits have been home runs. Sox have hit 13. They're in the top 4 in the American League. And on that wild pitch, Rios to third.
Well, you might be thinking, well, 2 outs, it doesn't matter. You know, you advance 90 feet on a wild pitch, you get a free 90. But when split is your pitch and it's your out pitch and you have a runner on third, you may not go to it or have a tendency to go to it now with a runner just 90 feet away. Now you have to elevate something. And
he does throw it up high, 91, 2 balls, 1 strike. You might be able to hear the wind ripping through our microphones on our headsets up here. At this elevation, it's blowing pretty hard. Fastball, 90, ball 3. Danny Espinosa's a good 35 feet or so into right field on the shift. Ian Desmond behind the bag.
Playing Rover.
3-1 pitch. And Dunn will pull it right to him. That's about a 4-hopper all the way out there. And Dan Herron puts a 0 on the board in his first home inning as a Nats starter. Noise. There's some noise. See you later. This game is tied. Of course, that was only half of another 2 for 4 night for Bryce Harper last evening, hitting .394, 4 for 8 in this series. He's behind Span and Worth and ahead of Zimmerman. This lineup is doing some big things right now. Ian Desmond 5 out of 8 against the Sox. Danny Espinosa 2 for 8, combining for 3 runs batted in. For the first time, the Nats will face Dylan Axelrod, who has a career record of 3-2. And by the way, the Nats are tied for the home run lead in the National League. Axelrod from Santa Barbara, originally drafted by the Padres. Sox signed him as a free agent August of 2009.
The last time out on the 6th against Seattle in the Beast, he received a no decision, allowed 1 earned run on 3 hits over 5 2/3 innings, struck out 3, walked 2. The 3 hits allowed tied a career low. He went head-to-head with Felix Hernandez, got the job done. So fastball, slider, curveball change from Axelrod. And I'm still trying to regroup from the Ian Desmond headshot we had right there. Looked like a silent movie star.
He has no problem being a talkie, by the way. Denard Span, 3 for 7, a walk, 2 runs, and RBI. He's been a busy leadoff man in this series. And that is in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. Denard at .296, but the on-base percentage is outstanding at .457. That's 9th best in the league.
Yeah, Dylan Axelrod, a guy that has to be ahead in the count to be successful. He's got to hit his spots. He has to work ahead. 2009, he played for the Windy City Thunderbolts in the Frontier League, independent baseball. And last year was shuttled between Chicago and the minor leagues 4 times. So he's a guy that's got to throw any pitch in any count, stay down in the zone, and work ahead all night to be successful. It's pretty much anybody, but when your stuff's a little bit short, it really applies. Fastball averages 87 miles an hour.
Pretty good emergency hack there by Denard Span to stay alive. He's shown the ability to hit a bunch of foul balls, give Worth a look. Then by the time Bryce Harper hits, the pitcher's usually well into double figures on his pitch count. And a 1-2, and there he goes again.
And Jason Worth, where he stands in the on-deck circle, he doesn't hit second. He's 1B. 1A in the box, 1B on deck.
You know, you can do that with a left-handed batter. With a right-hander in there getting around late.
Well, hitters will try to do that, Carv. I used to do the same thing. You try to get an angle and get as close as you can so that you can see movement, release point, even in the on-deck circle. I mean, you're trying to get loose, but you're also trying to sneak a peek.
And now Span will be punched out on a swing-back fastball. 6 pitches for that.
Let's set the defense for the Sox behind Axelrod. Dunn, Deaza, Rios in the outfield. Ramirez, Gillespie on the left side. Keppinger, Canerco on the right side. And Tyler Flowers doing the catching again for the 3rd straight game.
Sox have made the most errors in the American League with Toronto and the Angels. Dylan Axelrod, first career start against the Nats. Jason Worth, not quite as patient as he was last year, or for that matter throughout his career, seeing an average of 3.88 pitches per at bat. In his career, he's been over 4.4 for the most part, but he's not leading off now, so he doesn't have to be that old Larry leadoff thing you talked about.
And we saw evidence of that the other night. He didn't move Denard Span, runner on second base, nobody out. He decided to turn on a fastball off Jake Peavy.
So let's go inside those numbers and find out why the government and employees choose STGinc.com. So FP, these numbers, that a byproduct of hitting second and not first?
It's just the hitter. Jason Worth has always been a very patient hitter. And it doesn't matter where he hits in the order. He's a guy that, especially when he was in Philadelphia, that worked the count. That whole lineup in Philadelphia would wear you down and work the count. And I think Jason's biggest problem his first year here as a Nat is he was basically the only guy in the lineup working the count. And when you're the only guy making the pitcher work, it really doesn't have the same effect as 5 or 6 guys in the lineup doing the same thing.
Good take on a breaking ball. So Worth, those 4.44 career, and this year 3.88. Still really early for sample size and all that sort of thing with those numbers. He's hitting .273. Red hot hitter on deck. Worth waits for an off-speed breaking ball and fouls it. Hopes it gets out of play. And it is. Barely. Tyler Flowers would have had to sneak around the corner of that railing to have a shot.
Skipper almost did it right there. That ball was heading right for Davey Johnson. He ducked out of the way at the last second.
But FP, he can't do anything wrong in the month of April, this manager.
Well, he did this right. He was heading right for his coconut. He ducked out of the way. You can't see him right there. Maybe this shot will show it a little bit better. He was heading for Davey. He ducked right behind the barrier there and got out of the way.
Well, here goes Span and Worth again. Each batter with 6 pitches so far. Saw a note today on Davey Johnson as the Nats manager in the month of April in this ballpark. 13-2.
What happened both times?
How'd he lose a couple? Inside, 3-2. Of course, 5-0 this year helps. The Nats started the season overall 7-2 last year. Denard Span's been added as the leadoff man, and they're trying to match that number with a win here tonight. Target away. Worth just a check swing to stay alive. Man, these guys are pitch count killers.
9th pitch coming.
15th of the game. We'll do it again.
Well, you see Axelrod, he's not giving in. I mean, he's throwing curveballs in a 3-2 count. Sliders on the outer half. And he's the kind of guy that has to throw any pitch in any count to be successful. And Jason Worth running up the pitch count early.
And a rocket to left. Outstanding at bat by Jason Worth. 1 on, 1 out for Bryce Harper.
We talk about it all the time. Good hitters foul off borderline pitches. Pitches that are maybe strikes, maybe not strikes, but in a 2-strike count you can't take to get to that hanger right there in a 3-2 count. So he looked a little bit funky on a couple of swings fouling him off, but that's okay because he stayed alive. He got this pitch right out over the plate. Drove it into left field, and there goes the no-hitter.
That was solid. Here's Bryce Harper. Solo bomb, leadoff homer last night, 4 for 8 in the series. 13 for 34 to start the season. And it's not like Bryce is getting 3 hits one night and then an 0 for the next night. He's just getting like 2 for 4. More than half the time this year. So consistent. And he's slugging .788 on that percentage. Target in.
You know what's fascinating? He has none walks this year. 0.
Well, I noted that last night. Worth and Harper, their on-base percentage is the same as their batting average. And how does Worth do that? Taking so many pitches and working so many counts. 2-0 pitch. Waiting for that 81. He couldn't wait long enough. Look at that, 6 multi-hit games already. The government and employees choose STGinc.com because we love going inside these numbers.
Solid start.
Ooh. Yeah, that's 1 hit off the league. Harper will pop it up right off the end of the bat. Left field. Wynn's going to move it around some. And it's handled by Alexi Ramirez for the second out. Ryan Zimmerman now with 2 outs. It is coming right over the scoreboard. And it's interesting because in this ballpark, if you can hit a line drive toward that board, even the lower board, that's kind of a jet stream here. So maybe a low laser will get out. Tonight, Ryan Zimmerman is playing in his 999th game as a National. So that'll be some milestone when he goes on the field tomorrow night. Got here in September of '05, the first year of the ball club, and he's been in the lineup other than a couple of times on the DL every day since. Good eye, 2-0. On the verge of 600 runs batted in 2 nights ago. Jason Worth passed a milestone. Pretty good 2-0 pitch.
And just the difference between the weather and batting practice. It was humid, balmy. Now the wind is blowing and it's cold. Summer gone. Cherry blossoms gone.
Yeah, they're going to blow off the trees between now and tomorrow. It's going to be in the 60s, high 60s for the weekend. 2-1, and Zimmerman, was he able to hold up? He was. That's huge. 3-1 instead of 2-2. And here are the Nats with a man aboard, 2 outs, bottom of the first inning, and Dylan Axelrod is ready to throw his 25th pitch.
Because of the guy standing on first. That guy.
He's running. Pitch is in there. That ball's in center field. And Jason Worth goes to third. And in game number 9, the Nationals steal their first base of the year.
They got a curveball. Usually 3-1's a fastball count. Jason Worth with a little peek right there. Got a great jump, but the curveball allowed him to get an extra step or so. But that was a fantastic jump. Flowers really didn't have a chance. Good read, pop-up slide, get to third. A runner in scoring position here with 2 outs for Ryan Zimmerman all of a sudden because of the wheels of Jason Worth.
All 5 of his RBIs with runners in scoring position.
And 3-2 curveball.
He bounces it, and Flowers makes a good play, ball 4. That'll bring in Adam LaRoche.
Well, we talked about the 2 home run night the other night, checking in, getting on the board, but for me, a better sign in the home runs, I know they're fun to watch, they're exciting, was the line drive single that LaRoche hit to left field last night. When he's hitting the ball and spraying it all over the place, that's when he becomes a hit collector.
In this series, LaRoche 3 for 8, 2 homers, 3 RBIs. Short lead by Zimmerman. Adam takes one way upstairs. Time requested and given. Dan Herron, 19 pitches, 10 strikes in the top of this inning. And the Nats have Dylan Axelrod heading for upwards of 30. Target away. 2-0.
You can't keep falling behind if you're Dylan Axelrod.
Off speed, drops in. Third base, Worth singled with 1 out. With 2 outs, stole second, went to third on the error. And then, of course, Ryan Zimmerman, the walk. And that's a high strike. Counts even.
2-0 curveball, 2-0 changeup from Axelrod. So drop the curveball in there behind the count. Behind again, 2-1. Gets the call on a high changeup.
I'll say one thing. These 5 hitters have forced him to throw everything he's got in the first inning. 2-2 pitch. LaRoche goes upstairs to tomahawk it straight back.
And Carp, you and I have talked about the first 2 games of this series is first time around doing homework. And I think you watch video, but now everybody in that Nats dugout is watching Dylan Axelrod pitch backwards. And what do I mean by that? He throws off-speed and fastball counts, fastballs and off-speed counts. And that's the kind of pitcher he is. So they probably know that from the scouting report, obviously, but seeing it firsthand is a whole different ballgame.
Wind really gusting. Does this team grind out at bats or what?
No let up in my lineup.
Has that made the country charts yet? LaRoche, left field. It is diving, and the Nats are on top.
That ball almost got by Adam Dunn. It had some kind of spin on it. It shot to his right. Just got done saying when LaRoche is going that way, he gets knocks. And that was a great sign last night with the base hit to left field. Today, 2 out knocks for RBIs or gold. And there's LaRoche right there just dumping it in front of Dunn. And watch the spin right here. Almost gets by him. Nice play by Dunn. That would have been a couple of runs.
Adam LaRoche, 4th RBI of this series. He's now 4 for 9 against Chicago. And Ian Desmond, who's red hot, steps in.
He needs a few of those bloopers.
Sure does.
Made some hard outs the first week of the season.
Desmond, 5 out of 8. 3 runs, a solo homer in this series. He and Danny Espinosa are both in the top 4 in the league in doubles, each with 4. Desmond added a triple here for good measure in this series. This ball popped up. Wendell hold it up, and now it's a run for Paul Konerko, and he drops it sliding right at the rail. The wind blew that thing right back in toward home plate.
We're just watching the flight of the ball. I'm going to flashback to my days at Candlestick Park right here with this pop-up. Konerko, he's all over this, and all of a sudden the wind blows it. Tony Tarasco doesn't know where to go. He's just trying to get out of Konerko's way. Good effort. But that is not an easy play with the wind blowing like it is right now, and Ian Desmond and the Nats will take that break.
Yeah, we're showing the Chicago guys what a windy city is all about tonight. So the Nats get some help. Desmond has another life. It's a count of 1 ball, 1 strike. Target is in. It's in there too far. Ball 2. Yeah, 7 total bases on those 3 swings last night. Time given.
Well, the White Sox switched pitchers. This was supposed to be Jose Quintana's day, a left-hander. Robin Ventura and the Sox thought that Quintana was a better matchup for the Indians where they go next. And they thought Axelrod Stuff would play better against the Nats in this bigger ballpark than Cleveland. And that's why they made the switch.
2-1 pitch, and Desmond fouls it away.
I mean, Cleveland runs a lot, too, so maybe the left-handed pitcher and Quintana slows down the Indians' running game, and that's why they made the switch. And you see a 37 pitch and counting first inning.
Look at the off speed. Nearly 6 out of every 10 pitches, not a fastball. And a 2-2, and Desmond will extend this inning. Danny Espinosa. This game started at 7:05. Danny Espinosa could be batting in the first inning at 7:35. Now the runners will be on the move.
I mean, 1 through 8, even 1 through 9 on given days will fight you. That's one thing you know about this lineup. They're going to battle. They're going to foul balls off. They're going to stick their nose in there. That's why Davey says there's no let up in my lineup.
Payoff pitch. Desmond, right side, a spinner handled by Paul Konerko. Pitcher covers, so he has to get the put out on his 39th pitch of the night. The Nats have a 1-0 lead. It's got a run, couple of hits, couple of men stranded, and now the second inning presented by Luna. Call for the Luna double. Call tonight. You'll get your second room of flooring free, 877-241-LUNA.
This would sponsor Bryce's second hit.
Well, Dan Herron, been a bit of a layoff for him here. His first inning, pretty quick, 2-out double by Alex Rios. Stranded him, he faces Paul Konerko, who's had 7 career hits and a home run against him. Some of the White Sox have had good career numbers against Dan Herron, but evidently he's pitched well enough to beat them 2 out of 3 times on the decisions. But there's Konerko, 8 for 20 now, batting .400 career against Dan Herron. Second Sox hit.
Well, if you're Dan Herron, you sit in the dugout after the first inning. Number one, your stuff is much better than your first outing. It's exactly what we expected. But when you go back to that Cincinnati game, I think the ball that Todd Frazier hit out in the second inning was a bomb. But Zach Cosart's, both of his home runs would have been doubles here. And when he saw the Alex Rios ball hit the wall, that has to be a confidence builder for any pitcher to know that, you know, your home ballpark, you can give up a linear and it's going to stay in the yard.
Yeah, that's a first pitch foul ball. And the wind will push it to the track, unreachable.
I even think Shin Soo Choo's home run, the 4th, was a wall scraper as well. So a rough first outing for Herron, but different conditions, different ballpark, different day. It's a great thing about baseball.
Funny how these things happen. Then the Reds go to more of a fair ballpark in St. Louis, and their pitching staff gets bombed 2 out of 3 there. They bombed the Cardinals on Monday. They lost 2 out of 3, so those ball clubs are 5-4 atop the Central. The Braves have the night off. They've won 6 straight. They're probably, if not in town already, just about here. They're 8-1. Dan Herron pulling the string on 84, his second strikeout.
Yeah, went with the off speed right here, 84 miles an hour. Let's see the release. Good shot, guys. That's the split. Sometimes it's hard to tell with Dan Herron whether it's the cut fastball at 85 or the split at 84. Sometimes they replicate each other, but tonight with a better split, it's easier to tell. And you saw the swing and miss.
Connor Gillespie, 2 for 6 in this series. They're taking advantage of getting some playing time since Gordon Beckham hurt his wrist here on Tuesday night. He's been playing third base last 2 nights, moving Jeff Keppinger over to second. Gillespie has a 1-for-1 career mark against Herron, who's got some swing and miss off speed stuff going right now.
And we thought the split would be better just because of the conditions alone, but any veteran pitcher makes adjustments, comes back, and looks like Herron's keeping that front side closed, getting that split out in front. Looks good.
That ball slapped to right. Jason Worth after it. It'll play on a short hop off the wall, and the runners will end up at second and third with 1 out. Breeze kept that ball from being a 2-run homer. Connor Gillespie continues to impress. Part-time guy getting some regular at-bats right now.
Well, when Gordon Beckham comes back, it's going to be an interesting decision for Robin Ventura. Keppinger hasn't really been swinging the bat. He's looked better in this series, but Connor Gillespie making a huge statement with the small amount of playing time he's gotten so far in the 2013 season. Nice swing.
Big RBI opportunity to tie or take the lead for the number 8 hitter, Tyler Flowers. And a bounce it is short will tie the game. Ian Desmond has 1 play, and that's the first. Catcher Tyler Flowers, his 3rd run batted in. Connor Gillespie to 3rd on that play. And that'll bring in the pitcher, Dylan Axelrod, who has not had a major league at bat. They are just not doing the job so far this year with runners in scoring position. Find out why the government and employees choose STG Inc.
Yeah, but you talk about average with runners in scoring position. That was a productive out. It got the job done. So you could have a horrible average with runners in scoring position. With a sac fly doesn't count as an at-bat. Well, or a ground out for an RBI that gets the job done. And you could still be driving in runs. So a lot of times that runners in scoring position stat is misleading.
Yeah, last night Adam Dunn ground ball RBI. Point well taken. And that's in there. 2-1. We've got Pepperdine against Cal Irvine here. You just can't walk an anteater with 2 outs.
I'd say if it was rock, scissors, paper, a wave would crush an anteater any day.
Sure. Yeah, pretty tough decision to go to Cal, Santa Barbara, or Pepperdine. Alejandro De Aza started the game when Dan Herron punched him out. Got a good fastball under his hands. He'd like to face him next inning. 2-2 pitch, and Axelrod stays alive.
We'd really be talking if Wilson Ramos went to UC Santa Cruz and was a banana slug.
Swing and a miss and a high fastball. White Sox get a couple of hits and a ground ball. Danny Espinosa, his bat coming alive. He'll lead off in a moment. a half-season plan, and you can still book every game left after the Nats play their 6th home game tonight. So check it out, nationals.com/2013. Get your season plans today and come and join us, if not every night, on a regular basis here at the ballpark. And some folks are regretting not bringing their jackets right now. Danny Espinosa, though, starting to bring the stick, FP. And when he gets hot, he's really good behind Desmond.
Well, he's a chance to warm it up real quick. 6 for his last 19, 4 extra base hits in his last 5 games. And Ian Desmond staying hot, too. So middle of the infield. Hot on offense with the lumber all of a sudden.
And I talked to Ian about this after the game last night. He's one of the guys who really benefits when Danny starts swinging well, and then Adam LaRoche in front of him. And Davey talks about this all the time. I know you're a huge fan of this because you major leaguers like to keep the line moving. This lineup complements each other very well from man to man.
Well, not so much even just the left-right thing, but if Ian Desmond gets on in front of Danny Espinosa, he's a stolen base threat, and Danny's going to get more fastballs.
We know what he can do to a heater. So first inning, Dylan Axelrod, 40 pitches, 25 strikes, and he faces 7, 8, and 9 here. Not to be forgotten here, the hot Wilson Ramos, who's on deck. '86 outside corner. Target up. And a good take by Danny. Counts even. One pitch. Off speed. Nicely done.
Good changeup, good fade.
White Sox, by the way, tied with the Tigers going into the day at 4-4, but the Tigers won their game. There's the Mercedes-Benz pitch track. Check them out, MBUSA.com. There's a team in their division, FP, really enjoying a Thursday night off. How about the Kansas City Royals at 6-3? And again, here's a pitcher showing his entire repertoire early in the game to get some guys out.
Fastballs late, off speed early, pitching backwards. And just an elevator fastball, 2 strikes, climbing the ladder. And Danny Espinosa's done a good job this year so far of laying off that pitch, not that time.
1 out. Here's Wilson Ramos. All he's done is gone 6 for 13 so far. 2 home runs. He's also walked 3 times. Kurt Suzuki walked 3 times. Once intentionally in the number 8 spot last night. These guys are getting on base at a prolific rate at the bottom of the order.
Now, careful with the curveball to this guy. I mean, he covers it so well. A chance to catch one out in front and give it a ride.
Dylan Axelrod is 27 years of age. They list him at 6 foot 185. 2-2 in 14 games, 7 starts for the White Sox last year.
Such a good take right there by Wilson Ramos. 2-1 count. You're looking for your pitch. Borderline fastball down the zone. You offer at it. It's a ground ball out. You take a borderline pitch like that looked like a strike, and you find yourself in a 3-1 count all of a sudden. Doesn't guarantee a heater against this guy.
88 there. And Dan Herron, a really good hitting pitcher. Waiting here in the bottom of the second. Ramos gives this one a ride to right center. And now it's falling. And De Aza has to come screaming in to catch it. That thing got higher than the scoreboard, and then the wind just killed it.
Somebody turned the ballpark around. First 2 games of the series, ball flying out of this yard tonight. This ball's hit, folks. Maybe missed it a hair, but Wilson Ramos strong enough. He's looking at it, thinking he got him. And look at Diaz, he's going back, and all of a sudden, with the U-turn, come back toward the infield. The wind didn't just knock it down, it pushed it back toward the dirt.
Man. Dan Herron, a .223 career hitter. He just had one at bat in Cincinnati the other night. Game got out of hand early, so he was gone after 1 AB. Counts even 1-1.
Pretty good hack.
He's hit 2 career home runs, 27 RBIs. And that one will be stabbed in the backhand side, and Dylan Axelrod has a much quicker second than he did the first. Tie ball game into the third. Gaza, Keppinger, and Rios. 1-1 ball game. AT&T fact, 5 straight home games to begin the season, second most behind the 81 Expos, who won 9 straight. Boy, they've had some talent in the organization back in the early 80s.
The Hawk, the Rock, the Kid. It's a good ball club.
Dawson, Raines, Carter, John Wall, and I have to say, this is a lot better than his initial first pitch last year, 2 years ago maybe. He got this one on the fly all the way home. That had a nice arc on it, just like his jump shot.
He's still a pie tosser, though. Did you see how he had that? Just like he was going to throw a pie to home plate.
Well, he didn't want to hurt Gio with a heater, you know.
Basketball, bueno. First pitch, no bueno. But that was way better.
Just glad John Wall's at the ballpark tonight. You look at this town, the outstanding athletes in this place: Wall, Ovechkin, RG3, Harper, Strasburg. Pretty good multi-sport athlete thing going on in D.C. Two balls, one strike. Right off the hands. Danny better keep going back. It's going to die right to him. And so he'll catch it in front of the on-charging Jason Worth. Everybody needs to be aggressive in the outfield, FP, when the ball goes up, and then communicate when it's coming down.
Well, you just have to be on your toes. We talked about a lot the first homestand here. Keep your feet moving. I think Danny Espinosa did a nice job. He didn't really have a choice right there. Jason Worth covering him, hustling on the backside. But, yeah, tough night for fly balls. I think the only way you hit a home run tonight, if it's a knockdown 2-iron, you keep it nice and low, hit it through the wind. Otherwise, this park is playing humongous.
Jeff Keppinger. Fly to left first time. Dan Herron goes 2-0 on him. Keppinger against Herron, career 8 for 17 with a homer, 3 RBIs. He got jammed, fought it down the line. Keppinger's going to make a big turn. Darrell Boston helping him come back with a 1-out single.
Not a lot of doubles down there in that left field corner. If you're playing against the Nationals, it almost has to roll down to the wall with the arm of Bryce Harper. But nice piece of hitting by Keppinger. Connor Gillespie with a double. Keppinger coming up saying, I better start getting some knocks, and he does. Good swing. Career 280-plus hitter, so I don't think Robin Ventura is worried about his swing. But you see the arm of Harper getting over there quick. One hopper.
Well, in this series, Keppinger 4 for 11. Gillespie 3 for 7. And here's Alex Rios, who is 6 for 10 here. Doubled off the left field wall first time on a ball that last night would have been 7, 8, 10 rows up. Maybe farther. This is a combination of speed and power that's very impressive. 4 homers, 3 steals already.
A touchdown and a hair last night. If you remember Alex Rios in his old stance, kind of spread out, crouched down, hands real high. And sometime last year they stood him up, kind of freed his hands up a little bit, incorporated his lower half more. Whenever you're spread out, sometimes you don't use your legs, but he's been upright, hands are quicker, getting to baseballs he didn't get to last year. Off to some kind of hot start. 438, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs.
Yeah, and last year he hit 25 homers, stole 23 bases. 3 years ago, he stole 34 bags while hitting 21 bombs.
I mean, that just looks comfortable, doesn't it?
Yeah, very quiet. Not anything very violent about it. Zimmerman can't get it on the backhand side. Keppinger to third. And Rios has another extra base hit. He is 7 of 11 in this series. That might be the last time the Nats give him anything to hit, but first base was occupied. And you've got Dunn and Konerko coming up, so what do you do about that?
Blame it on Rios.
I'd smile too. Did that say third double this season, that graphic? Fourth. He's got 3. So 3 in this series, 4 on the year. Here's Adam Dunn. And if he does what he did first time, ground ball to Espinosa in right field, the Sox will have the lead. He's trying to roll one over there. This will be interesting now. Dan Herron has him 0-2. Strikeout would be huge. Then you can choose whether or not to pitch to Paul Konerko.
I don't know if you go with the high fastball or a split right here in the dirt. Maybe set it up. You're way ahead. You got a lot of time.
There's some high gas. And that big second out.
Yeah, might have even been setting up the split, but he got the bonus as Adam Dunn chases the high heat. I think he's using this pitch maybe to set up the next pitch. But he'll take the strikeout right there. Biggest strikeout from Dan Herron. Runners on second, third, 1 out. Now he's got to go to work with Paul Konerko with the base open. And after Konerko hit that ball hard first time up, I'd be surprised if he sees anything real good right here. Just the third inning, but still.
And Konerko also 8 for 20 career against Herron. This may go a couple of pitches, see how the count goes. Not like you could go 3-0 and throw him a fastball down the middle either. Just walking.
He's not the kind of hitter that's really going to force the issue or chase. He'll just look for something up out over the plate, sit on a mistake.
Good pitch. Cutter, slight piece.
A little cutter right there, 86.
They stay inside. That hit it. Glancing blow, bases loaded, 2 outs.
And not the worst thing in the world. Alexi Ramirez, a very capable hitter, no doubt, but struck out his first time up versus Konerko, a professional hitter, a guy that knows how to drive in runs. If you're going to miss in off the plate. Just got the elbow guard. So bases loaded here in the third for Dan Haren.
Might be the best replay of a hit batter I've ever seen on the Exmo. Both angles.
You could tell what seam of the baseball hit him.
Here's Alexi Ramirez with the bases loaded. Haren gets the outside corner. Dan struck out Alexi first time up. And Ramirez 2 for 9 career against the Nats right-hander with 1 RBI. That's a beautiful thing going straight down, isn't it?
That's the split right there. 86 miles an hour. He averages it at 84, but maybe the best split of the year so far from Haren. Watch a bottom drop out of that. Good pitch.
Crowd starting to pick up a few claps here, looking for a third out to keep this game tied. Got him again, splitting his way into the middle of the third.
That's veteran pitching right there, folks. You get Konerko on first base, get a guy you can handle before, get ahead 0-2. Great pitch.
Between DC and New York, book now at Amtrak.com. Well, Alex Rios, unstoppable. Nats might sweep these guys without hardly getting him out. Jason Worth in the middle of things with that first inning base hit.
Yeah, great at bat from Worth. And finished it with a 3-2 single to left, and Adam LaRoche with a 2-out knock dumps it in front of Adam Dunn to put the Nats on the board.
Denard Span struck out looking in that first inning. '55th pitch of the night a moment ago by Dylan Axelrod, and that's how many Dan Herron's now thrown through his 3 innings. Off speed, drops in, 1-2.
He went front hip sinker. Ran it back to strike out Span on the first.
Pitch first inning. 1-2-3 second on 14 pitches. Outfield pushed around to the left.
Going back in there with the fastball.
He's ready for it. That's good hitting. Lessons learned the first time around.
I mean, it's a theme, right? Early in the season. I mean, it's the case with any veteran hitting ball club, guys that have been around the league, but I've never seen a team this early execute it 1 through 8 as well as the Nationals have early in the season. First time around, especially in interleague play. Do your homework. Denard Span, a very smart hitter, knows that he went in there. Verizon Fios Exmo, you check it out. He knew he was coming in with 2 again, just dropped the head on it and lead off man on here in the third for the Nats. Nice piece of hitting by Denard Span.
And then Jason Worth, as selective as he is, even tougher in a situation like this. A lot of hitting room right side. Keppinger cheats up the middle. Span running, a swing and a miss, and he's in there with his first bag. So the Nats are 2 for 2 stealing after not swiping a bag in their first 8 games.
Another good jump. Jason Worth with a great jump in the first inning off Axelrod. And look at Denard Span right there. First step quickness. Steals that bag easily.
Feet first, pop-up slide. Love it.
He's always slid feet first, he told me. He never slides head first. I thought that was because of the concussions, but no, he said he's always slid head first, or feet first, excuse me.
Like it. That's a change-up that Jason ducks under.
Well, the other night I said Jason Worth would be trying to move Denard Span in a similar situation. He hit a home run, so I'll say it again. What the heck? And he watched the replay of the game. He said, oh, yeah, you said I was going to move him, huh? Pretty good series right there.
This will move him. It just won't end up as deep as we thought it would. Rios has a great arm, but even from there, no match for Denard Span, who's at third base with 1 out. That's what a really good leadoff man and an efficient number 2 man do for you.
I'll tell you what, he got that ball. That's a home run on any other night. The wind blowing straight in from right field right now. Pretty brisk, too. Held that ball up, but a nice piece of hitting by Worth to get Span to third with 1 out.
That'll bring in Bryce Harper. Great chance for his 7th RBI. Popped up to short left first time, caught by the shortstop Ramirez.
Infield back for Robin Ventura.
Early in the game.
Yep.
Harper cracks it to right center. Base hit. He's going to make a big round to the bag here. The Nats are back on top, and Bryce Harper has his 14th hit, his 7th RBI.
Boy, Tyler Flowers, if you saw it at home, was standing up right there. He wanted first pitch fastball in Bryce Harper's eyes. Watch the location mistake on the height of this fastball. Right down the middle. He wanted it up. It was center cut, and Bryce Harper right now ain't missing those, folks. That ball was crushed on the ground. Look at the velocity of that ground ball. Another lousy knock for Bryce Harper.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman. By the way, Nissan on the pitch track there. ChooseNissan.com. Great offers, innovative lineup. Ryan Zimmerman walked his first time. Part of that 40-pitch first inning, and that was against only 6 batters. You can tell by Ryan's takes the last couple of games, he is starting to see the ball much better.
Second time around, 3 good at-bats. Here you go.
Just love the base hit, stolen base combination. Harper's short lead, drawing a throw. Ball 2. Nats a chance to be into the White Sox bullpen, deep into it, relatively early in this game. They may be dealing with Adam LaRoche, 2 men aboard. Bullpen quiet for the moment. That could change in a hurry.
It's a great count to run on if you're Bryce Harper. Nobody ever throws over on 3-0. Axelrod was a 1-5 right there on that 2-0 pitch. Very deliberate to the plate. He can walk into second if he goes.
He'll get a secondary lead. He can walk to second base now. 2 on, 1 out. Second walk tonight by Dylan Axelrod, Ryan Zimmerman both times. And then Adam LaRoche, who dropped a single in the left field for an RBI 2 innings ago, up in another RBI situation.
I mean, with the way this ballpark is playing tonight, there's really no reason to walk anybody. I mean, throw it down the middle, let him put the ball in play. At least hit a spot, because the ball's not going anywhere.
First pitch changeup. Nine hits in this game already, 4 by the Nats. They've had a couple of walks.
Six straight balls.
Don Cooper, pitching coach.
Well, this is all those dilemmas as a hitter. 6 straight balls, you're up there thinking, well, do I take, do I swing? But when you're the type of hitter that Adam LaRoche is, your all systems go right here, looking for one pitch in one zone, coming unglued if you get it. And certain types of hitters would probably take after 6 straight balls, but when you're an RBI guy, a 30-plus, 100-plus, 30-plus home run, 100-plus RBI guy, you know, look at the career numbers for LaRoche. That's a guy that doesn't take too much on 2-0. I mean, he doesn't care if it was 6 straight balls or not. He's looking for something up in the zone right now to come unglued.
Adam LaRoche in this series 4 for 9, 4 RBIs. 2-0 pitch. Too high to go after, ball 3. A 4-pitch walk to LaRoche, and the bases are loaded for Ian Desmond.
8 balls in a row. 4-pitch walk to Zimmerman, 4-pitch walk to LaRoche. Not a good thing anytime, but against this lineup, it's deadly.
Phone rang in a hurry, and there's some urgency now in the Sox bullpen. It looked like Hector Santiago up and firing. Here's Ian Desmond. Bounced out to the right side first time. Konerko plays way off the bag over there. Ian elevates one. High in the air. And De Aza doesn't nearly have the arm of Rios. Waves him off. 2 runners move up. The Nationals lead 3-1 on Ian Desmond's 3rd RBI of the year. Situational hitting's been pretty good here.
Yeah, get him in. That's your job. Ian Desmond with the sac fly to put the Nats up 3-1. Got a high fastball. And that's what you look for in those situations, a hitter, something elevated. You don't try to take a low pitch and elevate yourself. You just make the pitch be up and swing the bat. Nice job.
And of course, runners at the corners now. 2 outs for Danny Espinosa. That first one came sliding in at 73. Espinosa, bouncer, right side, charging it, Keppinger. Nats have a nice inning. They get 2 runs on a couple of hits, a steal, 2 walks, and lead 3-1. Seats in the house.
That is fantastic. A bunch of Nats fans from Twitter.
We appreciate our broadcasters. Okay.
Sweater vest night. They did a lot of photoshopping last year. Sweater vesting different players. And the Nats went on a win streak. So a little tribute tonight. Thanks, guys. That's awesome. Let's check out Dan Herron's night. Fastball command's been good. And we saw what he did last inning, walking Konerko, or hitting Konerko actually, to get to Alexi Ramirez. So veteran guy knowing what to do, not giving in tough situation. So far, so good. Got it going on.
Top 4, Connor Gillespie leads off. He paints the outside corner. 87 took a little bit off there. Dan Herron throwing a variety of pitches for strikes right now. He'd have a pretty routine night going on if it wasn't for Alex Rios, who's extended 2 innings on him with extra base hits. What's up with these part-time Giants guys who go to other ball clubs and do well? Remember Kevin Franzen last year? He's got things going pretty well. Connor Gillespie now.
He had a pinch hit walk-off double for the Phillies.
Yeah,
a couple games ago.
That's right. That was one of their first wins when they needed one really badly.
Connor Gillespie taking advantage of opportunity here in Chicago.
1-2. Back straight back.
You can just tell by the swings from the Sox hitters tonight. Nobody looks real comfortable up there. There's been a few good passes at the baseball. The guy you were just talking about, Rios. But just watch the swings when they're ahead in the count, especially when they're behind in the count. I'll tell you about the stuff that Dan Herron's featuring here tonight.
1-2 pitch. He's been working low and inside to some of the left-handers. Got a called strike to Alejandro De Aza to start tonight. Two. Did he go? Chris Guccione says no. 3-2. Dumped into center. Ian Desmond tearing after it, unable to get it. He made it close. Connor Gillespie 2 for 2, and in this series 4 for 8.
But Dan Herron shaking his head right there. He made a good pitch. 3-2 changeup down the zone. And Connor Gillespie, a tough out right now for the Nats. Just throwing it out there. He made his pitch. Barrel's highly overrated.
Yeah, 3+ innings, 6 White Sox hits already. Number 8 man, Tyler Flowers. Dylan Axelrod is on deck. Their bullpen is quiet, even though Hector Santiago was getting ready hurriedly a few minutes ago.
This is where, if you're Dan Herron, know you got a good infield behind you, something down the zone, gets you a ground ball, let him play with it a little bit out there and turn you a double play.
Left center, hanging up. Bryce Harper there in plenty of time for the first out. That keeps the pitcher from a 2-man-on bunting situation. This moment in history brought to you by Volkswagen. Springtoberfest event going on now. Visit VWDealer.com tonight. And the fact that the Expos had to play some of their games in Puerto Rico is one of the reasons the Washington Nationals exist. And FP, you know this as well as anybody. At times, the crowds in Montreal just didn't cut it. The franchise, they were trying to do whatever they could to appeal to a large audience and playing some games in different locations. That ball gets by the dive of Adam LaRoche into no man's land. And that appears to be the first major league hit for Axelrod. 2 on, 1 out.
That bump was so bad it was good. Yeah, that's a big advantage for National League teams when their pitchers come up. They practice this a lot. American League teams losing their DH, and you can see Axelrod not real comfortable, and Adam LaRoche went for the out right there. Thought he had it. It went under his glove. Good effort by LaRoche, but after he misses it, it turns into a perfectly placed bunt for Axelrod and a base hit.
Alejandro De Aza now top of the order. Dan Herron's had 2 funky things happen to him for base hits. A bloop and a bunted bloop. That's not a bloop. That's a shot to right. Coming around third base, Gillespie. Throw gets through. Other runner to third. And the White Sox are back to within 3-2.
Diaz, a nice piece of hitting right here. Going down and getting it. And give Joe McEwing some credit at third base right here for waving Conor Gillespie, because that ball was hit hard, and I thought Jason Worth might have a chance at the plate. The RBI single for Diaz, who's had a nice series. Makes this a one-run ball game.
Well, Dan Herron, first outing in Cincinnati, 4 innings, 9 hits. And tonight here at home, 3 1/3, 8 hits. Not all of them hit that well. Keppinger is next. And then you're talking about some big guns if you're not out of the inning with a double play here. Some long innings for both pitchers.
You saw the throw over there initially. Diaz with 26 stolen bases last year. Was caught 12 times. Got good wheels. 1-0 count. Good time to hit and run if you want.
Another hitter, 2-0. Keppinger base hit last time. Runner going off of first, and a ball heading for left field. Harper has to play it on a hop. A run will score, and the game is tied.
I'll give the Sox hitters credit for making the adjustment second, third time around. Diaz with the single. Keppinger dumping one into left right there. Nice piece of hitting, RBI. Start this one all over again. And just off the end, but it was up. So you make a good pitch location-wise, but height-wise up in the zone looking for a ground ball. Keppinger able to elevate it for the RBI.
And here's Rios, 2 for 2 with doubles. One off the wall and left, one right down the line past a diving Ryan Zimmerman. So the White Sox have out-hit the Nats 9-4. Zach Duke is working. Nationals long man, their only left-hander. Fastball in there, 1-1.
Just kind of speculating on the fly right here, because that's what we do. That 3-2 changeup to Conor Gillespie to start this inning seemed to really affect Dan Herron. He made a good pitch, a bloop single, and after that, hasn't really been the same here.
Yeah, routine out right after that, but because there is a man on with that bloop, pitcher's bunting, then crazy things happen. You're off the stretch a lot. This hitter 1-2. By the way, Herron's batting spot is due up second in the bottom of the fourth. See your authorized Dodge dealer. Experience a world of performance, design, and fuel efficiency. Schedule a test drive, Dodge.com. Check out that powerful lineup, as well as these guys leading the American League in hitting right now. Rios right in there. Started the night at .419. And a check swing. Desmond to first. Runners move up, 2 down.
Big out right there. Needless to say, get a guy hitting .455 to ground out to shortstop.
And he had him fooled. So here at Nationals Park, where Adam Dunn used to hit some tape measure shots, in the top of the fourth, he steps in, 2 on, 2 out. 3-3 ball game. White Sox with 9 hits.
Everything all of a sudden up right here in the 4th from Herring. I mean, think about it. A big part of the ball game. 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. Yeah, it's only the 4th inning, but you get out of this with a tie ball game. Big difference. Good hitter up there. You got to go to work because you got serious protection on deck. In the form of Paul Konerko. I mean, what do you do right here?
That fastball didn't miss by much. 2-1. Adam Dunn, ground ball to Espinoza, playing deep on the shift, struck out swinging in the 3rd. And a 2-1 pitch popped up left side, and the breeze is going to ride that thing well out of here.
Struck out Dunn last time with a 2-seam fastball up in the strike zone. See where he goes right now. Got a couple of pitches to work with and a base open.
Sailing away. On the hands. Adam Dunn muscling it out of play.
I mean, I know it's only the 4th inning, so you don't want to oversell it, but the way the Nats have been making the adjustments to Axelrod, you keep it a tie ball game, you got to figure they're going to score some more runs tonight.
I think so.
So this becomes a big situation early in this baseball game, right here, right now.
2-2 pitch, and Dunn pops this one up. Ian Desmond is under it. So the White Sox will settle for a couple to tie the game. They've stranded 7 in 4 turns at the plate. Tom Jefferson. Does he have enough to keep up such a pace? Oh, taunting Tom Jefferson.
Teddy and Chubby haven't won yet.
Wow.
Crazy.
At that pace, he'll be back in Monticello in about 35 minutes. Bottom of the 4th. Take home a piece of opening day. Game used jerseys. Harper, Strasburg, Davey, the rest of the starting 9, as well as bases from the April 1st game right here. Go to nationals.com/auction. It ends at 10 a.m. April 18th. Some restrictions apply. Memorable shutout win with Strasburg and Harper teaming up to beat the Fish. Here's Wilson Ramos. Flied to center first time, hit the ball a ton, and it ended up about 100 feet behind second base. Oh, different kind of night. 91 degrees yesterday, 81 for a high today, 78 at game time, and now it is chilly, wind blowing in, and crazy baseball conditions. Welcome to spring. That ball just slicing, and Wilson Ramos hitting the ball really hard these days.
It's negative 14 right now with the wind chill factor, I think.
At elevation up here, it is.
Yeah, it is. Got our oxygen masks on.
I got tired of the folks hearing wind through my headset, so my window is closed. You're soaking in the aura. Yours is open. That's okay.
Somebody's tough, somebody's not.
Somebody wants to stay healthy through the spring. I've had enough spring stuff over the years. One-two pitch. Ramos reaches out to stay alive. First 3 innings for Dylan Axelrod, 74 pitches. Another 20-pitch inning in that third. Dan Herron's thrown 84 through 4. And he's on deck. Target in. Ramos on the hands, out of play.
You got to give Axelrod some credit right now. I mean, he's wiggled out of a few jams. He's given Robin Ventura a chance to win this baseball game, and his teammates. And the Nats have had a few chances to break this thing open, and he's made some big pitches in big spots.
We didn't think he was long for the game, did we?
There's Mark Parent, Robin Ventura, talking hitting. If Robin Ventura is your manager, you're probably talking hitting.
A lot. Target up and in, and they got Ramos jammed on that one. Paul Konerko taking charge for the first out, bottom 4. PNC Bank for the achiever in you. So we check in with our minor league report. Shortstop down in Potomac, Jason Martinson. Off to a great start with the extra base hits. Ian Desmond type numbers for that young shortstop.
He's ready. Call him up. Put him at short.
Harrisburg maybe. Job's taken here. Dan Herron, a comebacker, on the ground to Dylan Axelrod, first time up. Axelrod, by the way, is the nephew of sports agent, the well-known Barry Axelrod,
who represents Jake Peavy, and that's how the whole White Sox connection started, getting him over here. He said earlier in the broadcast he was playing independent ball for the Windy City Thunderbolts, 2009. Fought his way all the way back to the big leagues. Up and down about 4 times last year. Now he's the 5th starter for Robin Ventura.
Look at that level off swing by Dan Herron, and he can cruise into second base with 1 out here in the 4th inning. We told you he could hit. That is Dan Herron's 22nd career double.
A nice piece of hitting right here. Verizon Fios Exmo. You see Dan Herron just flipping this ball out to right. And he was some kind of flying around first base, let me tell you. The veteran guy knew it was a double. Cruises into second base. There he is, flying.
Switch to 100% fiber optic Verizon Fios. And as we show that replay, supercharge your internet speeds. Here's Denard Span, 1 for 2, base hit, stolen base, and a run last time. Well, you never know. Herron could score the go-ahead run, pitch the 5th inning, and end up with a W. Who knows?
Well, that's why Davey Johnson's leaving him in this ball game so he can qualify for a win. He got a big out right there, and Adam Dunn to end the top of the 4th.
2-0 pitch. Span takes off speed on the edge. Nissan will track it on a 2-0.
Talking about pitching backwards all night. Looks like a little 2-0 slider, backdoor variety. You get strike one.
Another off-speed pitch, and Denard pops it up. Center field, De Aza. And it'll be up to Jason Worth with 2 outs. The Braves are coming to town. They might already be here. Ross Detweiler, Julio Teheran tomorrow night. Strasburg and Hudson. 1 o'clock Fox game on Saturday. And then Gio goes against Paul Mahalem on Sunday before the Nats head to Miami to play the Marlins Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's a road trip that will take them to New York as well.
If you're coming to the games this weekend, we're red. Get this place rocking and rolling. That's a very big early season matchup with the Braves. Almost as big as Jason Worth's head right there.
Folded up nicely. Worth, base hit, stolen base, and a run tonight. And he'll take a breaking ball outside.
I'd imagine this park is going to be rocking and rolling this weekend.
Breaking ball. Worth thought he could get to it, and that thing had some serious away movement. Counts even.
It looked like he was on it when he started to swing, but this thing, the bottom just drops out, and Worth pulled off. You saw him pull his head out of there, but good pitch.
Target is in. Watch 11 outs, FP, 90 pitches for Axelrod.
Just thinking back to Dan Herron's double, I had flashbacks of Chen-Ming Wong last year when he hit a double. Same kind of stride in his second base.
You're right. Two-one pitch, target away.
Two pretty big swings from Worth. This is maybe even a better count for him to hit in with all the stuff that Axelrod features, because he'll shorten up his swing attack. So if you're Dylan Axelrod right now with Bryce Harper on deck, first base open, what do you throw Jason Worth in a 3-2 count?
He goes fastball. It's a base hit. Dan Herron will stop at third as Adam Dunn returns it, and Harper will bat with 2 men on.
Stay hot, Jason Worth. 3 great at-bats tonight. You remember the first at-bat, he worked Axelrod for about 10 or 11 pitches. Finished it with a base hit, stole second last time up. Hit the tar out of a ball to right field with nothing to show, wind blowing in. This time gets to another 3-2 count and lines a single into left, and there's no way that Trent Jewett, yeah, would send Dan Herron right there.
The man with no stop sign.
First stop sign of the year for Trent Jewett.
That's the manager visiting with his pitcher. Nobody throwing yet. Bullpen stirring. Whole bunch of guys moving around.
This is something like, if you walk him, it's okay right here. Even though the base open is second base, you could almost read his lips to, hey, let's do this, this, and this. If he wants to force the issue and chase, so be it. But you got a righty on deck, although it's Ryan Zimmerman. You also have the hottest hitter on the planet in the batter's box, so this will be interesting. You could see a pitch around, an unintentional, intentional walk right here for Bryce Harper with the runner on first.
Yeah, and then bringing in a hitter who he's already walked twice in Zimmerman.
I mean, that's the only reason Ventura goes out there, not the pitching coach, is, hey, This guy's locked in right now. Let's bounce some stuff up there. Trust your catcher's going to block it and see if he chases. Runners in scoring position, 429, a homer, 4 RBI.
One of those RBIs tonight. Gets away, hits the screen, and Dan Herron touches home plate. The Nats take the lead as Herron does score the go-ahead run.
I think Robin Ventura thinks it hit Bryce Harper, and Tyler Flowers thought the same thing. That's why he didn't initially go for the baseball.
But of course, if it hits Bryce, it's a dead ball. Runners don't advance.
Let's check it out on the replay. Did it get Harper? No, it didn't. Ball didn't get Bryce, and that's the danger of pitching around somebody. You're going to 0-2 him, meaning you're going to treat the at-bat like it's 0-2 right from the get-go. You're going to try to throw your best pitch in the dirt to get him to chase, but with the runner on third doing that, there's always the danger of the wild pitch, and it comes back to haunt Robin Ventura and the White Sox right there.
And if you're a Nationals fan, the thing you hope doesn't happen here is that Tom Hallion asks another member of the crew, like one of the corner umpires, probably third base, offside from the left-handed batter for some help here. They just, you want this thing settled now and go play, and you've got the lead. But sometimes umpires will ask for some help in a situation like this, and we've seen these things changed. You hope it doesn't happen.
Look at the ball, see if there's shoe polish on it. You've seen that happen before, right? There isn't, because it didn't hit him and hit the dirt.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, Tyler Flowers has to get over and block that baseball.
See, I don't like this. Now they're going to ask for help. What if one of the umpires thinks the ball hit him?
Then Davey Johnson's going to go ballistic, because this isn't even close.
Looks like they all agreed the ball did not hit the batter. It's a wild pitch, and the Nats are on top.
See what happens when you're on time to a game? You get it right. Now they're going to walk Bryce Harper intentionally. Hard to do with a runner on first base, but I guarantee you that's what Robin Ventura wanted to do. But you can't just intentionally walk a guy with a runner on first. He wanted to pitch around Harper. Axelrod bounced it bit him.
This will be his fourth walk of the night. Zimmerman twice, LaRoche once. Hector Santiago has been up a couple of times.
And Robin Ventura's defense in that argument, with the naked eye initially, it did look like it hit Bryce Harper until we looked at the replay.
Ryan Zimmerman, 2 walks.
Nats still looking for that big hit tonight. They had a chance in the first inning to do a little bit more damage. They had a chance in the third inning to do a little more damage than they did. And right now here in the fourth, same thing. Looking for that big knock to pad that lead a little bit.
And this is pitch number 100 for Axelrod in the fourth inning. He gets the call on a fastball up in the zone. Outside edge, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
A little pain here. We've seen this a lot with Ryan the first couple of weeks of the season. 2-seam fastballs on the outer half. It seems to be the book right now, I guess, around both leagues.
So he's at 100. Well, this is the 4th inning. Your top 4 batters have hit 3 times, and Adam LaRoche might as well. 2-2 pitch. Fastball inside, and a couple of really good base runners will be on the move here.
Well, there's some pretty good arms in the White Sox outfield, and that 3-2 count gives Jason Worth a head start right here. And the outfield is playing in because of the wind, so that was a big miss.
Well, this could be Axelrod's last pitch of the night, unless it's a foul ball. And Zimmerman will hit it well. Right field, unreachable for Rios. 2 runs will score. The Nationals lead 6-3.
And that is the big hit we're talking about right there by Ryan Zimmerman. And that's also the knockdown 2-iron I was talking about through the wind. Low line drive. Rios cheating up because of the wind. Got burned right there by Ryan Zimmerman. If I was Alex Rios, I'd be playing in the same spot too. The wind is blowing in hard from right field. He's cheating up. But Ryan Zimmerman knocked this one right through the wind. A huge knock right here in the 4th for the Nats. Great at-bat from Ryan Zimmerman. And because of the 3-2 count, Bryce Harper running on a pitch. He scores easily. A couple of RBIs for Zim. Nice job.
Nationals with a big inning. And this call to the bullpen packaged by the UPS Store. We love logistics. Here in the bottom of the 4th inning at 6 minutes till 9 o'clock. And this inning is still alive for the Nats. This copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of the Washington Nationals Baseball Club and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Lefty, Hector Santiago for Adam LaRoche. Santiago pitched in the 8th inning last night, got Espinosa, Suzuki, and Moore. Coming into this series, only Nat who had ever faced this lefty, Kurt Suzuki. But of course, Adam LaRoche so good against lefties last year. And tonight he has a base hit to left, RBI, and a walk.
And a 5-pitch guy, fastball, slider, cutter, change, split, whatever else. But the fastball's good. It was up to 94 miles an hour last night. That makes all the other 4 pitches that much better. If as a hitter you have to respect 90 to 94.
Good fastball. Punches out LaRoche. Good inning for the Nats. 3 runs, 3 hits, around a walk, and a 6-3 lead. Some single game tickets and come to Nationals Park. Some of them start at just $10, and the way this series has gone, that's about $1 per run when you come. Go to nationals.com/tickets. Some exciting offense from this ball club. Came in tonight hitting .263. As a team, they're up over .270 now. Tied for the league lead in home runs. See if Dan Haren can get through 5 and qualify for the possible W down the road. He'll face Paul Konerko, who has singled and been hit by a pitch. Goes up hacking. Pitch number 85.
You mentioned it during the break. How about Dan Haren helping himself out?
Changed the whole inning, didn't it? I mean, there was already 1 out when he leveled off and hit that beautiful line drive to right center. On the ground, Ryan Zimmerman, plenty of time to plant and throw. On target to LaRoche.
Well, this inning big for obvious reasons for Dan Haren. Number 1, you want to qualify for the win. Number 2, you need a shutdown inning. So good start right there, getting a tough hitter out.
Alexi Ramirez next. Dan Haren has struck him out, swinging twice. Just missing 2-0. Only game in the league in progress. Dodgers at Padres later. Giants beat the Cubs this afternoon. The rest of the National League scoreboard dark. And of course the Nats are trying to go 3-0 here in interleague. Had their best ever interleague record last year. They'd never even finished over 500 in any season against the American League. And 10-8 last year. Trying to get off to a real good start here with a lot of interleague games looming. And Ramirez will dump one into the right field corner. Jason Worth digs it out quick. He stops at second. And Jason Worth continues his perfect work down there, FP, in keeping guys from going to third base.
Yeah, that was one where you're kind of hoping Ramirez went for 3. Worth got down there in a hurry, dug it out. Perfect relay throw to Danny Espinosa, and we all know about his arm. And Alexi Ramirez with a nice piece of hitting on a slider up in the zone, just takes it the other way, rides it down in the corner, and watch the hustle by Worth. It's your own ballpark. You know that's not coming out. You dig it out quick, get rid of it quick. And the throw was right on the money to Danny Espinoza. And that last look by Ramirez, did you see that over his shoulder? Was where the decision was made to stay at second base. He saw the throw in the air. He saw it was on line, all with that little glimpse over his left shoulder.
Coming into this series, we told you folks, if you could stop Jeff Keppinger and Connor Gillespie, you could beat this team. Well, tonight, they each have 2 hits. They're 4 for 5. So a key spot for Gillespie here.
And check out Ramirez right here. Good base runners are their own base coaches. You see that look over his shoulder? Yeah, you want to look at Joe McEwing at third base, your third base coach, but the decision is on you as a base runner. And he made that decision, maybe with a little help from McEwing at third base, who had his arms up, to stop right there. He would have been out by a mile at third with a good throw.
Yeah, we always talk about the arms on the Nats infield. Sometimes we overlook the strength of those arms on relays to third or to home.
You know, I learned how to be a good base runner in junior college. In fall ball, we didn't have base coaches, and we had to make decisions for ourselves. A lot of times the third base coach is just a suggestion down there. You have your mind made up of what you want to do, but and guys that take pride in their base running, I think that's good for any coaches out there. If you're having scrimmage games or games that don't count, don't have base coaches. Let your kids make the decision for themselves. That's how they learn how to run the bases.
It's good baseball man, Joe McEwing. He was a scrappy player.
Super Joe.
Yeah, we called him that in St. Louis because he could play any position on the field. And his teammates absolutely adored him. He was one of the hardest working guys ever.
Still is. Talked to him today. I said, what was it like hitting the same group with Mark McGwire when you were a Cardinal?
That's right, he did. 3-2 with 1 out, and Gillespie fouls it straight back. McGwire would always bunt the first pitch of any batting practice session, by the way. Maybe that was his way of telling Joe, I'm with you. Love guys who played the game like that.
What you didn't say is he bunted it into the bullpen.
3-2 with 1 out. Gillespie in the air to center. That ball's well hit, but not tonight as far as distance. It'll move a runner to third, and Denard Span's throw hops into Zimmerman. A very important second out. Dan Herron is at 97 pitches, and he needs 1 more out to maybe turn this thing over to the bullpen. Cool evening at Nationals Park. I bet the temperature's gone down 15 degrees since we've been here. Bob at FP, 1 window open, 1 shut upstairs, and a 6-3 Nats lead.
There may be some symbolism in that.
Matt Linser. Actually, this is bulletproof glass. I'm hiding from all these base hits. 17 more tonight, 20 between the clubs last night, and 24 on Tuesday. The Nats have proven that this year's version of the Washington Nationals can slug with American League clubs. Hasn't always been the case. Flowers 0 for 2, RBI grounder and a fly ball, and the count's even 1-1.
I don't think Dan Herron's pumped with the strike zone that he's receiving tonight from Tom Hallion. He hasn't got the benefit of a few calls on the corner. The low part of the zone, as we saw in Cincinnati, is closed again here. And you can tell by the body language when he gets the ball back from Ramos that he's not real excited.
Not your typical crew chief getaway night strike zone. A lot of times pitchers will note that if the crew chief's working on a getaway day, getaway night, be around the plate. One ball, 2 strikes. Serious jammage right there, and Ian Desmond will grab it, and Dan Herron gets his 5 innings. Desmond, Espinoza, Ramos coming up in a 6-3 game. of Arlington and Mercedes-Benz of Alexandria. Where do you start? Jason Worth, 2-hit night, 2 runs. Harper scored a couple. Ryan Zimmerman on base 3 times, driving in a couple. And Dan Herron fights his way through 5 innings and a big stick in the bottom of the 4th.
Yeah, I'll tell you where we start with the rally starter right there. Dan Herron, after Wilson Ramos popped up at first base. Herron with the double, and then the big swing from Ryan Zimmerman, the knock they've been looking for all night long. A double through the teeth of the wind, and a hustling, helmetless Bryce Harper scores on the backside. Give Jason Worth some credit right there. He just saved another run for the Nationals by keeping Ramirez at second base just to a double, getting that ball in quick.
Saw him do it on the first homestand. So Dan Herron, 101 pitches, 65 strikes. Ryan Matthews in the bullpen. Hasn't pitched in a couple of days, so he'll be fresh. But FP, we've talked about this before. Your first reaction, you look at the scoreboard, wow, 10 hits in 5 innings, he just didn't have it tonight. But Dan Herron battled his way on a night with maybe some guys with less experience get knocked out of a game like this.
Well, we said that about him. He's going to fight and claw through a game and figure out a way to beat you. And I think that's all you have to do is go back and look at that Paul Konerko at bat in the 3rd. When he was kind of pitching around him, nicked him with the ball in his elbow guard. Veteran pitchers do that. They're not going to give in to a hot hitter. He put Konerko on to load the bases, and then what did he do? A 1-2-3 see it to Alexi Ramirez. That's what a veteran guy brings to the staff. Moxie, toughness. And I thought his stuff was much better tonight than it was in Cincinnati, obviously.
So here's Danny Espinosa. Danny 0 for 2 tonight. Wilson Ramos to follow against left-hander Hector Santiago. Right into the pitcher's glove. Espinosa hitting the ball sharply. 2 outs.
Might have broke his bat on that.
Sounded like it.
Let's see, did he fracture the lumbar right here? Pretty good play by Santiago, but let's see if he broke it. It might have been off the end, had a funny sound. He was looking at it, walking back to the dugout. Still a pretty good pass.
Wilson Ramos. Tyler Moore, if the inning continues, for Dan Herron. See your authorized Dodge dealer and experience a world of performance, design, and fuel efficiency. Schedule a test drive. Go to Dodge.com. Check out our powerful lineup inside the numbers on Ramos and Suzuki. Well hit. Backhand side. Jeff Keppinger pops up after a very good play. The Nats go 1-2-3 for just the 2nd time tonight. On to the 6th inning on the banks of the Anacostia on a chilly night. the grounds crew had the broom out a little earlier tonight. Now, if that's to happen, there's a long way to go. Days past, 4 innings left for the bullpen. We used to say, wow, I hope the Nats can get through 4. Now, we can't wait to see how they'll get through 4.
Yeah, and I hope this on camera is really important because you and I miss Katy Perry and fireworks because Ryan Matthews is in this game. And it's up to the bullpen right now. And this is how Davey Johnson, Mike Rizzo drew this whole thing up. Shorten games, have that lead late, and go to a lights-out bullpen.
I got news for you. It's not on my iPod, so I can't hand it to you here in a minute.
It's on mine.
Why does that not surprise me? Steve Lombardozzi on a double switch. He will bat 9th. So Danny Espinosa out of the game. With that number 9 spot due up first in the bottom of the 6th. And here's Ryan Matthews. This is interesting. They're down by 3. And the hitter is the pitcher, Hector Santiago. He takes a decent whack at it and flies out to Jason Worth.
12 outs left, and you're down by 3, and you let your pitcher hit.
That would be 11 outs now.
Nats will take it. It's a good way to ease Ryan Matthews into this ball game.
Top of the order now, Alejandro De Aza, RBI single last time up. Got them back to within 3-2. Then they tied it on a hit by Keppinger. But then the Nats took command with that 3-run 4th inning. So De Aza 5 out of 11 in this series. Some of their not big and strong guys have done some damage. De Aza 5 hits. Keppinger 5 hits. Gillespie 4.
That's where I buy my suits, not big and strong.
Well, making another one for De Aza. His 6th hit of the series.
Well, I think Ryan Matthews' specialty is getting right-handers out, as we all know. And he's done a nice job of getting lefties out, too, but that was not a good matchup for him. A guy that slaps the ball the other way with his 2-seam fastball as you look at the Sox box score.
And by the way, De Aza is celebrating his 29th birthday with that 2 for 4 and an RBI tonight.
Gillespie a couple knocks, Rios. But the right-handers are coming right now. And Ryan Matthews looking for a ground ball.
Keppinger first, and Ryan misses away. The Nationals, by the way, are 2nd in the National League in double plays with 10. Arizona with 11. Davies' interior defense has been outstanding so far. Keppinger with that wide open stance. He'll swing the front leg around and take a pretty good whack at it. And here comes Denard Span. He spears it. He'll throw to first, and the runner back in plenty of time, but 2 outs. Man, these guys are tough outs. The top of this order.
We used to talk about the first step quickness and the jump that Rick Ankiel used to get in center field. Denard Span right there. And that was all based on anticipating the ball being hit to you. And we watch Denard Span during batting practice every day, and he takes one jab step for every ball that's hit. And as a center fielder, you don't have to necessarily shag every ball in BP, but you want to work on that first step quickness. And you see the work paying off for Denard Span right there. Great jump.
Alex Rios on a check swing bounced out to Desmond last time.
You don't necessarily have to run after every single baseball in the outfield to work on things, because in a 6-month season, 162-game schedule to wear you down. But what Denard Span does is he just takes the ball's hit to left field, one quick step toward left, that's it. The next ball is hit to right, one quick step toward right field. And it's all he's working on in his jumps. You got to stay fresh out there, too. And he works hard in BP every day.
That's the nasty pitch to a right-handed batter. That hard sinker. In. Rios in this series 5 for 9 coming in, so he is 7 for 12 with those doubles tonight.
Boy, after those first two-seamers, I don't even know if you mess around with that forkball with 2 strikes. Ryan Matthews has been featuring a wipeout forkball all year. Started in spring training, but it's tough for Rios to get extended right now on that fastball.
And he goes breaking ball. Hopefully that's just something that gives him a different look, and he goes back to the bread and butter here. If he does this thing right, it'll be a strikeout or a ground ball to Zimmerman or Desmond. Or off his leg.
Or Schinberger. How many guys have we seen do that off Ryan?
Many.
When you have to make up your mind as a right-handed hitter, whether you're swinging or not off that 2-seam fastball, it looks like it's right down the middle. You go to swing and it just disappears under your hands.
Runner going. Better make it. Throw right there. And Lombardozzi had to handle a hop on that steal by De Aza.
You know, they said 26 bags for De Aza last season. First one of the year right there. Pretty good jump off Matthews. Ramos got a good pitch to throw on. Fastball away, almost a modified pitch out. I don't know if that pitch missed by much.
Yeah.
Pretty good pitch.
And often when the catcher pops up, you don't get a call. As you mentioned, De Aza, not a great percentage last year. Really only 2 steals for every time he was caught stealing. So that was his first of the year. 6-3 ball game. Ryan Matthews still has to deal with Alex Rios. Adam Dunn waiting. Target in.
I mean, the thing is, too, even if you're as hot as Alex Rios is, Adam Dunn, you still have trouble getting inside of that sinker. I mean, even if you do cheat to get to it, you're going to hit a hard foul.
Breaking ball away, skips. Didn't look like a swing, and it's ball 2. Matthews snapping at his glove with his bare hand after delivering ball 3.
Well, this is a huge pitch. Adam Dunn on deck, 3-run lead. Nobody up in the Nats bullpen. Dunn is all Ryan Matthews's.
And a 3-2 just misses.
Yeah, just a little bit outside, trying to go with the 4-seam fastball or backdoor the 2-seamer. Good frame by Ramos. Matthews doesn't get the call. Now he's got to regroup and get a huge out. And Adam Dunn.
So 2 on 2 out. Adam Dunn tonight 0 for 3. 0 for 7 with an RBI grounder in the series. Fly ball left field. It's well hit. Long run Harper. Looking at it, hit the base of the wall. 1 run scores, a chance at home, and then turning around and going back. Alex Rios. 6-4 game. Adam Dunn with an RBI double.
I mean, Ryan Matthews' job essentially last season was to get tough right-handed hitters out. How many times did he come in and face a Holiday or a David Wright? Sean Burnett was the guy that faced big-time left-handers last year. He's not here, and the Nats catch a break as that ball stays in the ballpark. And You just wonder how long it's going to be until they go out and get a lefty specialist, because there are some big left-handed hitters in the National League East, and right there, it's a good thing that ball stayed in the ballpark.
Yeah, Braves coming in for the weekend, but McCann and Freeman not with them at the moment. And here's Paul Konerko with a tying run suddenly at second base. Two hits, around a walk and a steal. And the White Sox have 12 hits tonight. 2-0. Ryan Matthews last pitched at Cincinnati Sunday, got 5 outs. No runs on a couple of hits. He goes off speed there and misses. 3-0. Next up, shortstop Alexei Ramirez. Paul Konerko in this series has been walked twice, hit by a pitch.
I think in this count with the base open, just throw that two-seam fastball in, let it work for you if he wants to swing, all right. Start on the inner half and let it feed off the plate. Like that.
Might have busted his bat. No, Konerko looked at it. That ball hit near the trademark, and it's a count of 3-2. Long inning, considering a relief pitcher staying in the game, led off this inning and flied out. Oh, he threw him a slider over the plate, and Konerko could not pull the trigger. Ryan Matthews pulls one out of his sleeve there, and the White Sox settle for 1 in the 6th. Pullovers, some jackets, and some sweatshirts tonight. Folks came to the ballpark, it was in the 80s. Ryan Matthews' third best pitch is his slider, and he caught all of us, FP, by surprise with this one.
Well, if you're a hitter in that situation, you're thinking, okay, tying run on second base, he's going to get beat with his best pitch right here, and everybody in baseball knows that Ryan Matthews' best pitch is that two-seam fastball in. Konerko looking for that, got crossed up with a slider. Big-time strikeout for Ryan Matthews.
$37 more to the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health with that strikeout. And it's all thanks to the generosity of our D.C. area Toyota dealers. Here's Steve Lombardozzi, came in on the double switch, just played second base for a half hour, now he gets to hit. 1 ball, 1 strike. We've had some long frames tonight. Lombardozzi, 1 for 2 as a right-handed batter. He had a pinch double in Cincinnati over the weekend, and he gets under this one to left. The wind's going to take care of the rest with Adam Dunn. Steve Lombardozzi on a regular night would have just had a right-handed home run.
How good has his swing looked right-handed so far this year?
Slots, tables, and dining, ultimate triple play, Hollywood Casino, Charlestown Races. Denard Span, on-base percentage leaders. And, of course, Denard Span, Bryce Harper getting on base. Adam Dunn's in there.
Nick Johnson, who wasn't afraid to get hit by a pitcher, 20.
I tell you, Nick, he was Babe Ruth every April. That guy had some of the most amazing first months. So many injuries, so many times on the DL, derailing his career. He's another Sacramento guy, right?
He is. McClatchy High School.
Yeah.
Same school as Larry Boa.
One of Nick Johnson's favorite things to do when he was on the DL was to watch Nats baseball in the truck. He would visit our guys on occasion. I'm sure he learned a lot down there.
Well, he retired this offseason, and I think it says something about his career. They put it on the ticker on ESPN. I mean, you've had to have a decent career if they throw it on there the day you retire, right? Sure.
That's on the corner to Denard Span, 1 for 3 tonight. Tell you, Nick could pick it at first base, too.
Solid big league ball player.
Good at bat, Denard Span. In terms of getting on base, another 2 for 4 night. He's already swiped 1 tonight, but this time he's got a lefty looking at him. And that ends a streak of 5 hitters in a row retired by Hector Santiago. Nats box score. With all this offense, Worth the only man with a multi-hit game tonight, but there are some multi-RBI guys in there. Zimmerman. Guy scoring more than 1 run. This offense, tough to pitch to.
Not much of a stop right there from Santiago. Kind of rolled right through it.
Phil Cuzzi at second base. And the first base umpire with the left-hander, Ron Culpa. Looking at him.
And Jason Worth, 3 solid at-bats tonight. Single first time up, long at-bat, line drive to left. Base hit last time up, and don't forget Denard Span, who led off the third with a single, stole second. Worth moved him with a deep fly ball to right. 3 good ABs.
And an off-speed take for a 1-2 count. Jason Worth now hitting .306. He is 5 out of 11 in this series. That is right in there on the inside edge under his hands. 2 outs. Let's go inside the numbers with Dodge and Bryce Harper. Performance, design, fuel efficiency. No, not Bryce. Dodge. Go to Dodge.com. Check out the powerful lineup. Most homers through his first 8 games of the season.
Pretty good company right there. Miguel Cabrera in 04-6. Some guy named Al Kaline in Detroit, 1955-4, and Bryce Harper. I love when we put those stats up with Bryce and there's big-time names all over the place. It's good stuff. Met Al Kaline last year at the World Series. What a thrill.
He's a gentleman, isn't he? Classy. Al Kaline had one of the best right field arms in baseball, too, when he played. 2-0. He broke into the big leagues as a teenager.
Nats haven't faced a left-handed starter yet this year.
That'll change on Sunday, right? Paul Maholm?
Just a random kind of ADD thought that I'd throw out there real quick.
Then I got the stat to back you up. So welcome in from left field.
Thanks.
3-0 pitch. And that's out of play to the left.
Well, I'm watching Bryce face San Diego. I'm thinking they haven't faced a left-handed starter yet.
Tehran Hudson Maholm when the Braves are here. Detweiler, Strasburg, Gio. Pretty good weekend of pitching for the Nats. Fastball, good eye by Bryce Harper. Wow. So 2 walks in the inning, and now Ryan Zimmerman, with nobody throwing in the White Sox bullpen, a chance to do some damage like he did last time. 2-run double opposite field to cap a 3-run 4th inning, putting the Nats up at that time 6-3.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can turn the wind around. He's got that much pop. Did last time up, low line drive over the head of Rios. 3-2 pitch, pretty good at bat. Not bad with runners in scoring position this year either. 571, 7 stakes. Pretty good speed on the bases right here. I don't know with 2 outs if you think about stealing, but he is not paying any attention to either one of them.
Ryan ahead. Target right over the inside half. Chopper, third base line. Santiago sprawls, slides, and Kaneko stays with it. Outstanding defensive play to keep the Nats from loading the bases. On to the 7th inning here. Wild ball game. Lots of offense, and the Nats lead 6-4.
He was a lefty. I'm not the best color man in the league for nothing, but let's check out one lefty right here. Hector Santiago with quite a play, sliding away. I mean, if he throws this ball away, he didn't even look. He just winged that over there. Konerko doing a nice job with the footwork to stay on the bag, but this ball goes down the right field line. It's 2 runs. I mean, he didn't even look right there. What an athletic play by Santiago. If the rest of the American League is watching, don't bunt on this guy. Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was a sure base hit off the bat. Ryan Matthews gets another inning of work here, and he moves Alexi Ramirez back. A run on 2 hits, a walk, a strikeout in the 6th. But as I mentioned, Ryan hasn't pitched since Sunday, so Davey Johnson would like him to get this to the 8th inning. Matt Lindstrom back up for the White Sox. Kind of interesting, a 6-4 game with 19 hits. 7th inning, each team's only used 2 pitchers. I would not have put my money on that about 3 innings ago.
No.
Dan Haren battling his way through 5, keeping the Sox at bay. One ball, 1 strike. Matthews a workhorse last year. 66 games, 66 innings. 41 strikeouts. His swing and miss percentage, interesting stat, 18% last year. And he was second of all relievers in the National League with 12 double play ground balls.
I feel like that swing and miss percentage is up this year. He was a pitch to contact guy last year.
That ball is well hit to center. But Denard Span right there.
But with the addition of that fork ball, he's been throwing a lot with 2 strikes. He's got some punch outs early in this season. I mean, he had the fork ball last year, but he didn't use it as much as he's using it this year. He wasn't as confident in that pitch.
Connor Gillespie next. He flied to Span last time. Two hits before that with a double and a single. He's had a good series. Gillespie 5 out of 9. Okay, the White Sox in this series 32 hits, 13 runs, and they might get swept.
Well, a long way to go in this game, but it just goes to show you when you get your base hits. Do they count? Are they big time knocks? And I think, you know, even though the Nats have been out hit tonight 12-7, they've gotten the big hits so far in this game. But like I said, long way to go.
One-two took a little bit off, and Ryan Matthews is pulling a few tricks out of his sleeve tonight. 3 in a row. Second strikeout. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
That's a fork ball I was just talking about. It's a wipeout pitch now. It allows Ryan Matthews to miss some bats. Great shot, guys. Did you see the grip, the tumbling action with the Exmo? And Wilson Ramos did a nice job of corralling that. But I think with that pitch, he's a different guy. Not a pitch to contact guy as consistently he was last year. A ground ball pitcher. Now he becomes a strikeout threat. And late in the game, that's what you want out of your bullpen. Guys that miss bats.
Catcher Tyler Flowers 0 for 3, and in the series 0 for 10. Number 8 hitter. If they continue this inning, Dayan Viciedo is on deck. He started the ball game on Tuesday night, went 1 for 4 with an infield hit. Count even 2-2.
I want to give a shout out to a fan of the Nats who we met today before the game, Stacy Goodwin. He's here at the game, came up in the booth, talked to you and I, a guy from Wisconsin who's a huge Nats fan in town for this series, and it was a pleasure for us to meet him. Not feeling too good, but hopefully we help make his day.
He is waging a very tough battle with health, and we wish him the best. It was great to have him up here. Great to have Ryan Matthews for another inning. He goes 1, 2, 3. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Hyundai. Get a move on to your Hyundai dealer during the Let's Go sales event. Great savings on every new Elantra. It ends April 30th. These clubs will play as they battle it out for the National League East. Julio Teheran, Ross Detweiler tomorrow night. And Ross got a no decision, pitched really well at Cincinnati. 6 innings, did not give up an earned run. Johnny and Ray will get you going at 6:30 with Nats Extra. We'll join you from the booth at 7 o'clock. And there's first pitch from National Debt at around 7:05 or so.
Nats fans are rocking the high note on Take On Me. I'll tell you what, they are into it again tonight. Another good crowd, great crowds all series long. I expect that they'll be rocking the red all weekend against the Braves.
33-year-old right-hander Matt Lindstrom, 5th game already. Hasn't given up much of anything. Couple of hits. LaRoche, Desmond, then the pitcher spot. So Ryan Matthews is done, and Tyler Clippard is getting ready. Adam LaRoche has had a good night with an RBI hit, a walk, and there's Tyler Clippard for the 8th. They'll have 9, 1, and 2. And of course, before this game is over, the White Sox lineup will go at least through Paul Konerko in the number 5 spot. Seems like it happens every night.
And how about Ryan Matthews tonight? Not usually a 2-inning guy. Did a nice job of getting out of that jam in the 6th inning. A 1, 2, 3, 7th with a couple of Ks. And how valuable has he become out of their bullpen? Big time effort from Matthews tonight.
Tell you what, you combine him with Storn, Clippard, and Soriano. Those are some arms. Adam LaRoche makes an offer to pitch in the dirt. That's a swing, and he's gone. Bottom of the 7th underway.
And check it out from the side. Did he go on the slider from Lindstrom? Looks like it.
Lindstrom faced a couple of hitters here Tuesday night. Gave up a Worth RBI hit and a Harper double play ball. So Ryan Matthews, 2 innings, a run on 2 hits, a walk, 3 Ks. Made a nice recovery from a 25 pitch 6th inning. Ian Desmond, that's a hard sinker at the knees right there.
Yeah, Lindstrom fastball in the mid-90s. Boone squad on deck, got a slider to go with it.
Chad Tracy will get a matchup against a left-hander here. Desmond up the middle and a base hit. So he has a sac fly, his third RBI of the season, and a clean single tonight. Another good night swinging the bat for the Nationals shortstop.
6-game hitting streak right here for Ian Desmond. Came in with a 5-gamer. And this will extend it. Little ground ball up the middle, base hit. Staying on that nasty slider.
Chad Tracy, after this beautiful swing coming in on the Verizon Fios Exmo, I would have never guessed this. Tracy has never faced Matt Lindstrom. And by the way, 100% fiber optic Verizon Fios. Supercharge your internet speeds.
Well, if you're Chad Tracy right now, you know you're going to get a fastball. Lindstrom, 2-pitch guy. Fastball in the mid-90s. And as a pinch hitter, is as good as anybody in baseball. 248 career off the bench with 6 taters.
Pulls that ball. Keppinger and Ramirez turning the 4-6-3. So some action speeding up for pitchers late in this game. And this one into the 8th with Tyler Clippard on the way. Massive, brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. And by Honda. Get a great deal during the really big spring event. Now at your Honda dealer. So with the Capitol in the background, a mighty strong offensive showing by both ball clubs tonight, but the Nats have been more opportunistic. Jason Worth, Ryan Zimmerman, and the last 2 innings pitching, Ryan Matthews, to set this up.
Yeah, a great outing, and we talk about him missing bats and striking guys out. We talk about the at-bat to Paul Konerko, tie-in run on second base, big-time situation, and he comes back in the 7th. And after a fly out by Ramirez to center field, strikes out Gillespie, strikes out Flowers, so big-time effort for Ryan Matthews tonight.
Tyler Clippard. He has logged scoreless innings in 3 of his 4 appearances. But the White Sox got him in the 7th inning on Tuesday night when Paul Konerko hit a 3-run homer after a walk and a base hit. Dwayne Wise, who led off an inning late in the game last night with a pinch hit single and stole a base, gets that same assignment in the same inning tonight.
And Clippard this year so far has been pretty much fastball change. Now, last year he threw an occasional cutter and occasional curveball to go with those 2, but hasn't thrown very many so far this year. Majority has been the heater and the combio.
Got the inside corner with that one.
I mean, if you square around the bunt on Tyler Clippard and he throws you the change, you might even be out in front of a changeup on a bunt. That's how good it is.
1-1 pitch. There goes fastball away. Ball 3. Off speed, just missing. Top of the order. Look out. Alejandro De Aza, 6 for 12 in this 3-game series. And Clippard muscles up with 93 to fill the count.
Well, you can make the argument that the save is right here, right now. This inning, top of the order. Big boppers lurking.
A drive to center, but Denard Span shading toward the gap for the first down. Gio bobblehead day Saturday. First 15,000 fans when the Nats played the Braves at 105. Get the bobblehead presented by PNC Bank. You must enter through the center field gates. Only place in the ballpark to get those. And you'll also have the chance to receive a bobblehead giveaway with a purchase of any Gio Gonzalez name and number t-shirt or jersey. That offer is available at the Main Team Store, the Nationals Clubhouse Main Team Store, Saturday while supplies last. 2 drives, 2 outs. Nats finally get De Aza out for the first time since the 3rd inning.
What you didn't see in that read is the first ever bobblehead in the history of bobbleheads to actually talk to you.
It's got a string on the back. Pull the string and Gio will talk all about pitching and how he enjoys being a Washington National. With the real Gio Gonzalez, you just have to be in the proximity. Here's Jeff Keppinger, 2 for 4. Tyler Clippard pours it in for a strike.
94 on the black.
Jesse Crain hasn't appeared in this series yet. Clippard changes speeds, and this will be beyond the reach of LaRoche. You could enter and win a meet and greet with Ryan Zimmerman. It's Masson's meet and greet giveaway. Visit Facebook.com/Masson Nationals. Click on Enter Sweepstakes. You might win. 1-2 pitch. Had him reaching. What a good inning for Tyler Clippard. Lombardozzi throws out Keppinger. And a 1-2-3 to get this one to the bottom of the 8th.
The Kia drive of the game. We're going to go back to the fourth inning. Ryan Zimmerman at the plate. 3-2 pitch around the outer half of the plate, and a big-time knock out, a slider running away. Drove it over the head of Alex Rios and right. Bryce Harper off to the races on the 3-2 pitch. It scored Worth, it scored Harper. Big-time knock from Ryan Matthews. This drive of the game is brought to you by Kia. Ryan Zimmerman, excuse me. Visit Kia.com to learn why Kia is one of the fastest-growing car brands in America. And one of the Ryans is having a good night. That one, Zimmerman.
Dwayne Wise stays in the ball game. He'll play center field. So on the double switch, their pitcher is hitting first. And that new pitcher is right-hander Jesse Crane. Busy White Sox pitcher. He was with the Twins up till 2010. And then 118 games combined the last 2 years for Chicago. His ERA hasn't been above 2.62. Wilson Ramos, bottom of the eighth, 0 for 3 tonight. That's a rare thing for a Nats catcher this year.
Hey, Mark. Thank you.
Wilson Ramos 1 for 1 with a base hit against Crane. Career.
Pretty sure her was coming out of her mouth.
Rafael Soriano for the ninth.
Crane 4-pitch guy. That's a fastball right there. It averages 94. Got a slider and a curveball and a change to go with it.
And by the way, that was an 11-pitch inning by Tyler Clippard. Breaking ball drops in.
Yeah, curveball running the 70s. Check this 12-6 bender out. Whoop, right there. Nothing you can do.
Target away now. Steve Lombardozzi put a charge into one, flied out deep to left first time up. This target's in. That means heater. And Ramos is punched out. I'd be curious to see that one again. And Lombardozzi will be the hitter.
Tom Hallion's going to drop a little sprinkler head right here. You know, watching the strike zone tonight, he was behind the dish when Steven Strasburg debuted in this ballpark. His strike zone has been good, it's been fair, but it hasn't been big, which makes me think, and I've watched him ump over the years, that outing from Strasburg, his first ever game as a Nat here, even that much more impressive with the smaller strike zone.
Lombardozzi deep to right, and this ball will be caught by Rios almost at his shoe tops. That's only 2 outs, Alex. But Steve Lombardozzi has hit 2 jacks here, and they both turn into routine plays. MLB.TV, 11 years now. Every out-of-market game live online on your favorite mobile and connected device. MLB.TV. Visit it. Baseball everywhere. Denard Span, 1 for 3. Base hit, steal, a run, and a walk. Doing nothing to hurt that .457 on-base percentage that he sported when he took the field tonight.
Loving this defense, too, the center field play. All of it. It's been nice.
1 for 2 career against Jesse Crane. Off speed, deflected by the pitcher. That's going to be a base hit. And Denard Span's on for the 3rd time.
getting the job done, getting on base any way you can. Job of a leadoff hitter. The base hit his second time up, stole second, a walk, his fourth plate appearance in the sixth. And how about this little infield single to have a 2-hit night? Denard Span, 2 for 4 with a walk. Some nifty plays in center, too. I'm Jason Worth. I'm getting the first straight pitch this guy throws and getting on it because I am not getting to that nasty curveball he's featuring.
Jason, a multi-hit night, 2 singles, 2 runs, a stolen base. He is 0 for 2 career against Crane with a fly out and a strikeout. Nationals with 9 hits. They've had 33 hits in this series.
Pretty good move right there from Crane.
'94 on the foul tip, 0-2.
And he got the straight one, fouled it back. Now he's got to fight.
Nationals.com, big time 3-game series coming up. Braves in town. Great pitching matchups. Gio bobblehead day Saturday. Oh, Worth takes one way up there. 0-2, and he got smoked. 2 on, 2 out for Harper.
Yeah, that one's going to leave a mark. That got him square right in the shoulder, and that was not a pretty sound. He is chiefing it out right now at first base, but I'll tell you what, this one's some kind of hurt. Let's listen to it. I don't know if that got tricep. Let's see. Exmo will show us. Yeah, tricep. Ooh. That one will make you queasy for about 5 minutes. Keep the line moving. Wins the game to Bryce Harper. He could seal the deal right here, right now. Put this one on ice with 1 swing.
Bryce Harper tonight. RBI single. 2 walks, 1 intentional. On base 3 more times. His first 2 walks of the year, by the way, as we noted earlier. His batting average was the same as his on-base percentage. 85 upstairs.
It's a good pitch. And he's got mid-90s fastball. One of the better 12-6 curveballs I've seen in a while, and then he drops an 85-mile-an-hour changeup on top of it.
3.22 career ERA. He's been in the big leagues full-time since 05. 6 full years with the Twins and did yeoman work for them. Harper went upstairs for 94. Couldn't get over the top of it. This all started with 2 outs and the Span infield hit off the pitcher's glove. Worth way behind in the count, hit by a fastball. And now 1-2 to Bryce Harper. Good job of adjusting with an emergency hack. 83 off speed.
Live to fight another pitch.
Harper, right field, base hit. home to score. One man, and at third base, out is Worth. But Denard Span did cross home plate in time. Alex Rios took it on the short hop. Bryce Harper has another RBI. And the Nats now lead by 3 into the ninth.
And how about the piece of hitting right here from Bryce Harper? We're talking about that nasty curveball. Stays on it, stays through it, drives it to right. Good effort by Rios on a short hop. Little double pump, decides he has no chance at Span. And he goes to third base. But give Denard Span a little bit of credit right here for hustling through home plate with 2 outs, knowing the play is behind him. And this will be a good shot of him crossing home plate. The run counts. Jason Worth out at third. And just another sweet swing from Bryce Harper. Stay hot.
Soriano has saved the first 2 games of this series and trying for a sweep of his own right here.
I mean, that insurance run is so big when you're talking about facing the heart of the order. Rios, Dunn, Konerko. And one of those guys gets on, there's the threat of a tie ball game. Now they got to get 2 guys on. Just another big knock from Bryce Harper to give a little breathing room to Rafael Soriano.
Alex Rios homered against Soriano, a 2-run shot on Tuesday night, but the Nats, just like tonight, led by 3. The Rios career against Soriano, 1 for 4 with that home run. 9th inning underway, fastball away. Fastball up, 91, one of the best heaters he's thrown.
I mean, there has to be a lot of deception in the delivery from Soriano because we've seen a lot of swing through on fastballs, and fastball counts to where they're late.
Yeah, Kurt Suzuki saying that exact thing, FP, after the game last night. Said everything this guy throws moves, nothing is straight.
But it must jump, too, because we've seen hitters in hitter counts late on the heater just plain swinging right through it.
Kurt, of course, catching the 9th inning last night.
See, 2-1 count. This guy's locked in, hitting 441. Sitting on a fastball late, fouls it back. This might be a guy who just take the gun and turn it off when he's on the mound. At 90, he's playing like 95.
Not sure whatever count matters the way Rios is going in the early going. 3 more times on base tonight. Look at that foul. Hit out of the way, everybody. Mid-Atlantic Sports Report tomorrow, 5 to 6:30. Tom, Dave, Mel, and Phil, but Ray Knight live tomorrow night. before Nats extra. Two balls and 2 strikes. Adam Dunn is next. Soriano struck him out to start the 9th inning last night. (3-2) and Rios just taking big hacks at everything. Fastball up, and he took a little bit off at 88. How about that? First out, top of the 9th.
The cut fastball right there from Soriano. And minus that foul ball down the left field line, Rios late on all the heaters from Soriano in that whole sequence. Just goes with the cut fastball. You see the sideways rotation on it, just running away from Rios a little bit. So the cut fastball to a pull side swing, gets strike 3, big out.
Next up is Adam Dunn. (90, 91, 88, nobody catching up.
I mean, 1-0 count, dead red hitter up there, sitting on fastball, misses it.
I mean, this guy doesn't come into heart-pounding heavy metal music. Shows very little emotion. Perfectly unflappable on the mound, and just kind of goes out and does his thing in the 9th inning. Gets a foul ball, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
A lot of times you're just so free and easy, and you get that late whip out there and you release almost like a fishing pole when you let go of it, and that's where you get that jump toward the end. Just the fastball off his fingertips, and I mean, it's every bit of 92 when it gets to the plate.
Throws him the breaking ball and buries it. Ball 2. Fastball away, and Adam Dunn hits it hard. Well foul. Dunn went that way the last time and doubled off the wall.
Seriously wore it out there. Foul ball. Earn that souvenir.
(2-2). Throws him a breaking ball, and Adam Dunn does well just to get a piece of it.
We talk all the time, just fighting something off, but I like the action on that slider right there from Soriano. Good bite.
Fastball up and a pop-up out of play. Soriano knowing the ballpark's playing big tonight. He's not shying away from challenging anybody with high heat here.
He's got the good heater going and good slider too. I haven't seen a slider with this much bite since opening day.
That's cutting inside, 3-2. Good thing the Nats lead by 3, facing guys like this in the 9th. Here's a 3-2. Adam Dunn battling. Soriano last night, 15 pitches, 10 strikes in the 9th. About to throw his 10th pitch of this at bat. Well, he keeps throwing good breaking balls, and Adam Dunn keeps getting a piece of them.
Yeah, pretty good fight going on right here between these two. Adam Dunn not giving in. Rafael Soriano not giving in. Let's see who wins.
Fair ball. Adam Dunn. Well, I guess all you have to do is throw him a fastball, huh? 2 outs. Adam Dunn to Adam LaRoche, and it'll be Paul Konerko now. Some of these fans in T-shirts have braved some cool temperatures tonight. 24,785. Hoping to see this perfection ongoing, at least at home. Paul Konerko, base hit by a pitch. He's 1 for 3. And in the series, 3 for 11. Nats trying to win their 7th game. How about 8-1 coming to town against 7-2 if this all works out? Braves and the Nats. Fastball up, out of play, strike 2. Hitter made an offer.
A little thing right there Wilson Ramos did that I like. He checked the swing before he picked up the baseball. If you pick up the baseball, sometimes it's too late, but if you snap your arm down there real quick, you might get the call. And he asked quickly, didn't get the call, but I'd like to try.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Paul Konerko, look at him level off and just right it to right field. 2nd hit tonight, 4th hit of the series. That's a power guy, knowing you got to have some base runners at this stage of the game. That'll bring in Alexi Ramirez. He singled off Soriano last night. 2 for 5 career against the right-hander. First pitch fastball tapped in front. Nationals win again.
Untuck that thing.
3 hours and 18 minutes. The temperature dropped 17 degrees during the game. The jersey dropped about 1.5 feet right there. And the Nats are perfect 6-0 at home.
I give Dan Heron some credit, tonight's starter. He did a heck of a job of hanging in there, battling, making big pitches when he had to. Bullpen was great once again. Offense, including Bryce Harper, getting the job done. Big win going into the Braves series. Another day, another W for the Nats.
Nationals are 7-2, matching their start of last season. And now we'll start getting ready for those 8-1 Atlanta Braves. The Nats, perfect at home, 7-4. They sweep Chicago.